For today's class, we'll be making our way down to start on the mat on our belly if it's comfortable. So no rush, no hurry. Making your way down to your mat. And if you're not comfortable on your belly this morning, it's okay to start on the back. But if it's an option, you might make your way down to the belly and see if it feels comfortable to rest here, or to bend your knees, rocking the heels. And feel free to stretch and reach, just finding a way to feel settled, noticing how different this shape can be. So in today's class, we'll be focusing on counteracting some of the effects of being seated. Oh, and we have someone trying to sign in with us, so let them in. Go. So resting on the belly is one way that we can give our body a counter shape to being seated. And again, you might be bending the knees and rocking the heels while you're here. You might be rocking the forehead a little side to side on the eyebrow area. And starting to tune in to notice your breath. Now it feels different to breathe toward the belly here when we're resting on it. Notice if that helps you tune into that gentle expansion in your back. And if you decide that you need a gentle practice today, you can stay put just like this. Just resting on the belly. Or when you find your next exhale, see if you could let your body sink down into the mat just a little deeper. Noticing if there's anywhere that's trying to hold itself up. Maybe a shoulder or an underarm. As you exhale, see if you could let that area soften down toward the mat. And then if you haven't already, go ahead and bend the knees. Give the heels a little rock side to side. Taking a breath. And to be the most gentle, you'll stay here resting on the belly as you take one heel to squeeze in close to the hip, and then the other. If that gives your hamstrings a cramp, it's okay to skip this, or to only move the legs a little bit. So our hamstring muscles, they often don't get a chance to contract fully, especially if we spend a lot of our time seated. So this can be helpful. And then we might add on a little bit to it by reaching that right hand back when the right heel draws close. We could just anchor it close. We might start to lift the elbow, finding a version of half frog. Or we might see if we can find the ankle and find a little lift toward half bow. We want to be comfortable here, so if it doesn't feel good, you can bring it right back down, or you might only be lifting an inch. And when you exhale, gently release the foot, release the head. And this next part's a little funny, but if it's comfortable, think about rocking your hips a little bit side to side. It's a funny thing to do, but that can help if your SI joint gets a little stuck or gets a little bit out of its alignment. That gentle rock of the hips can help invite it to realign. And then when you're ready, we'll take left heel in close. We might stay put like this. We might reach back and let the elbow point up for a version of half frog. We might press hand into ankle, ankle into hand, lifting for half bow. And again, you can go higher than this if it's comfortable for you. We're starting off today. We might start off very gentle, maybe even lower. One more breath here. And when you exhale, gently release the foot. Find your way to the mat and see if it feels good to give the hips a little rock. In addition to the bones, that's also helpful for some of the muscles back there, the hip rotators, the adductors and abductors. So that gentle rocky motion can encourage them to let go of some of the extra tension. And then when you're ready, don't rush or hurry. We'll start to take the elbows, tucking in under the shoulders, seeing if a Sphinx pose is an option. And in Sphinx, our goal is to open the collarbones. We might tuck the chin an inch to reach up for the top of the head. And if it doesn't feel good, if your low back's feeling pinched or tight, bring it down a little lower, even letting the elbows come out by the sides if you need. One more breath here. These shapes are great to counteract the rounded forward shape we often find when we're seated. And then yogi's choice. Bring it down to be gentle. Or if it's comfortable, draw your belly button to the spine, activate Mula Bandha, or the pelvic floor, and see about either floating the hips for a low kneeling plank or floating the knees for a dolphin plank. And thinking of one long line, out through the heels, forward through the top of the head, and then when you're ready, we'll send knees down to the mat, softening back to the belly. See if it feels good to bend the knees and rock the heels. When you're ready, we're resting your left ear on your hands, looking up toward your right elbow. Inhale, take right elbow and left leg up. A stargazer pose. Exhale, down, turning the head. Inhale to side two. Exhale, down, turning the head. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Turning the head. Inhale up. Exhale down. One more each way. And being gentle and kind. Now, as you find the belly, feel free to bend knees, rock heels, do what you need to do. And then we'll start to make our way back toward child pose. Yogi's choice, you can lift and press, walking the hips back. Or you might tuck the elbows in underneath and find that dolphin plank to help warm and wake up the core, if that's comfy. Remember, we might just lift the hips, especially if it feels like a lot of strain to lift the knees. Or if it's comfortable, press back through the heels, taking a breath in your dolphin plank. And then when you exhale, settle the knees to the mat. We'll walk hips back to the heels to soften in child pose. How does it feel to breathe when you're here? How does your back feel here after being on the mat in some extended shapes? And if it's comfy, walk the hands over to the right and then sink your hips to the left. Inhale back towards center. Exhale, walk the hands to the left, sink the hips to the right. Inhale back towards center. And then if it's comfortable, we'll start to take the hands behind the head. You can just rest. Or you might try opening that right elbow up. Maybe we can lift And send the right elbow toward opening. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale, opening up. So you can use that left elbow for a support here if it's comfortable. Inhale to open. Exhale, bring it down. And then take a moment to pause and settle. And we'll try side two. If it's comfortable, taking the hands behind the head. Now the right elbow might be your support. As you inhale, open the left. Exhale down. Inhale to open. Exhale down. Inhale to open. And then soften back. So those shapes help encourage more rotation and movement here in the thoracic spine, part of your back that has ribs attached to it. When you find the next inhale, make your way toward all fours. And if for any reason it's not comfy to be on the hands today, you can take a normal seated place instead. Or from all fours, take a moment to warm the wrists by walking the fingertips out toward the side. Maybe one hand, the fingertips walk back to point toward the leg. Maybe the other side tries the same thing. Maybe we flip the palm up and just explore if that's comfy. And then when you're ready, use the exhale to round for cat. The inhale to arch for cat. Exhale to round. Inhale to arch. And take your time moving with your breath. So if you've been seated for a while, these shapes can feel great for the back. Letting the spine find flexion and extension. And this also gives our hips a chance to move. Maybe just tune in and notice here how the pelvis tips to support these movements. And then the next time you find cow, curl the toes in underneath. Anchor through the palms, shift and lift the hips. Downward facing dog. And pedal in and walk your way into the shape. Inviting the hips to press up and back. And yogi's choice, if it feels good, stay put right here, pedaling in. If you'd rather come down and rest, knees to mat, find child pose. Or there's time enough for 3 vinyasa flows. Inhaling to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin, or chaturanga. Inhale, cobra or an up dog. And exhale, down dog. And take your time, no rush, no hurry. Find if a flow, if a rest, or if something different feels best for you. Noticing if there's anywhere that needs a little extra attention too. Maybe your wrist needs a little more movement. Noticing your breath. And when you're ready, no rush, no hurry, we'll meet in child pose. Breathing into the back. And then if it's comfortable for the shoulders, just explore how it feels to take the hands back by the feet. And can you breathe when you're here? If it's comfortable, the hands might even come behind the back. And they might start to press up, if that's comfy. When you're ready, release the hands. Use an inhale to help press your way up towards seated. We'll shift hips to the side and bring the legs around forward. You might tuck your blanket in under the hips to find a comfy seat. Taking a little shift when you arrive. Continuing into the breath. So what's interesting is that for a long period in human history, whenever we sat, we would either sit on the ground or we would be taking a malasana, a squat shape. And it's our modern day chairs and seats and cars and things that have us in this different position that can sometimes lead to postural trouble and grumpy backs. So when you're seated here on the mat, just notice if you feel comfy or if it feels like you might be tipping or tilting. And then we'll see if we can draw the spine long, like you're lifting up through the crown of the head. Well, when you find an exhale, see if it's comfortable to find a little twist to one side, keeping the spine long. Inhale to center. Exhale, let's try that twist on side 2. Inhale to center. If it's comfy, the fingertips might float up. Exhale, gentle twist. Inhale to center. Exhale, gentle twist. We'll go one more each way. Inhale to center. Exhale to twist. And then you might even take that front hand and reach toward the back of the neck, just finding a little length. And then inhale to center. Exhale to side 2. Pausing for a breath here and maybe floating the front hand, just reaching it behind the neck. Exhaling down, finding your way back to center. See if the shoulders could use some rolls and shrugs. The shoulders often round forward, just due to the nature of sitting and we tend to be doing things in front of ourselves. Elbows find the ribs, palms turn up. Inhale, open the thumbs back, trying to hug the elbows close. Exhale, a little crisscross. Inhale to open. One more like this. Then inhale them tall. Exhale, see about a side bend. Anchoring down through the hip as you reach out through the fingertips. Inhale tall. Let's go to the same side again. Exhale to reach. One more like this. Inhale, length. Exhale back to that same side. And then if it's comfortable, reach the hand up. Bring it around and tuck the back of the hand toward the back, like you were trying to reach in between the shoulder blades. And then releasing the hand, we'll inhale our way back up to center. Taking a little pause. And just noticing what might feel different from one side of the body to the other. The next inhale, we'll reach up through side 2. And exhale up and over. Inhale, find length. Exhale toward a side bend, pressing down through the hip as you reach out through the fingertips. Inhale up once more. We'll exhale up and over. And then if it's comfy, reach the hand up. Turning the back of the palm toward your back and reaching toward the shoulder blades if that's comfy. And then inhaling it back tall, finding your way to center and noticing if there's a difference from one side of the body to the other. And taking any movement that feels needed to balance things out. If your legs are crossed, switch the foot that's in front. And then notice again, if you can lift up tall through the crown, if the hips are grounded down, and this time we'll see if we can tune in to notice the curves of the back. Ideally, we have a little curve in the low back. That's a lordotic curve. That means that the spine is moving in toward the belly. And then with the rib cage, we have a little kyphotic curve, which means that the spine is moving away from the center of the body. And then the neck makes the same kind of curve as the low back, the lordotic curve. And just see if you can sense that little curve here, a little curve here, and a little curve in the neck. And then we'll inhale, send the fingertips up tall. As you exhale, take that left hand reaching down in between the shoulder blades. Turn the right thumb down. The back of the hand finds the shoulder blades, and your fingertips might touch, they might not. You can simply anchor the hands into the back and invite the elbows to move away from each other. These are cow face pose arms or Gomukhasana arms. And if you'd like, you can hinge from the hips here and take a little fold. See if the elbows can stay apart. Use the next inhale to come back up to center. Inhale the fingertips up tall. Exhale, bring them down by the sides. See if the shoulders need a shrug or adjustment. And then the next inhale takes them tall. Exhale, let's take side two. Right hand reaches down between the shoulder blades. Left thumb points down toward the ground. Back of the hand finds its way toward the shoulder blades. And this side could be different. And see if you can inhale and invite the elbows away from each other. Maybe the fingertips clasp. Maybe we just anchor hands to the mat. And if you'd like, you might hinge from the hips and take a little fold here. Next inhale brings it up towards center. Releasing the hands and the fingertips up. Exhale them down by the sides. See if the shoulders need a shrug or a roll. And then when you're ready, we'll hinge from the hips, folding forward, bringing hands to the mat. Yogi's choice. Would you like to take child pose and rest to let the shoulders soak in those shapes? Would it feel good to press and hold in down dog? Or is your body ready to move and flow? Inhaling to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, chin. Inhale, cobra. And exhale, down dog. Take your time, no rush, no hurry. Breathing while you move or rest. And maybe noticing if there's anything you can do during this yogi's choice to be a little bit kinder to yourself. Is there a way to offer just a little more support? Maybe using a blanket. Maybe just thinking of a kind or encouraging thought. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry, we'll make our way back toward all fours to meet on the mat. And you may take an exhale to rounding cat. And then inhale, gentle arch for cow. And then see if you can find a neutral spine. Sometimes people say flat back, but really it's a neutral spine. You still have those small healthy curves in the back. And then just explore if you press back through the right toes, anchoring to the mat, maybe lengthening through the heel. What would happen if you reach the left hand up? Could the right foot float? If the left hand comes down, could you walk the right fingertips out? Could the right hand float? Can you breathe? And then bring the right hand down. Tuck that heel toward the hip. Take an exhale around for cat, knee to nose. Inhale, heel to hip for cow. Exhale, knee to nose, round. Inhale, heel to hip. One more each way. The last time heel comes to hip, maybe that left hand could reach back. Maybe we just reach. Or maybe we find the ankle and we lengthen in tiger pose. And you breathe. Exhale, release the foot. Hand to the mat, reach back through the heel. Exhale, knee to nose, foot between the palms. Inhale, reaching your way up, kneeling lunge. Exhale, hands to the heart. Take a breath here. And just notice, where is your attention? Is it the front of that left hip talking to you? If you feel wobbly, could you anchor through those 4 points on your feet? And then when you inhale, send the fingertips up tall. Exhale, take the hands to the low back. And see if you could gently lift the collarbones. You might look up if that's comfy. You want to keep the low back long though. Reaching the head back away from the hips. Next inhale brings you back to center if you had reached back. Inhale it tall. Exhale, hinge and fold. Frame the foot. Slide the hips back, peel the toes up. Half of monkey, Ardha Hanumanasana. Inhale, kneeling lunge, maybe we lift. Exhale, half of monkey. Toes peel up. One more like this. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, half of monkey. And then anchor the foot, framing it with the hands. And we'll slide or step back to all fours or high plank. Yogi's choice. We can lift to down dog, pedal and hold. We can settle to child pose to rest. Or there's time for 3 vinyasa flows if the movement feels best today. Notice your breath, whether you choose to rest or to flow. No rush, no hurry. You might also notice where your attention goes. If it stays with your body as you're moving and flowing, or if your mind is thinking about something else, something you have to do after class, or something that you just read before class. Just notice where your mind is, and if it doesn't seem to be in your practice, maybe invite it back with that next breath in. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry, we'll make our way back to meet on all fours. And take a little shift side to side when you get there. We might give the back a round and an arch. And then we'll find that nice neutral spine, head and hips reaching away from each other. Invite the left toes to the back of the mat. And explore if the heel could float. And then you might bring the toes back down as the right fingertips go forward. And we explore if the right hand can float. Maybe the heel can too. Always okay to bring one down. Maybe right hand comes down and we try lifting that left hand. Maybe we just reach out first. Maybe it floats. Breathing while we're here. Then taking that left hand to the mat, tuck the heel toward the hip. Exhale, round cat, knee to nose. Inhale, cow, heel to hip. Exhale, round, knee to nose. Inhale, heel to hip. One more each way. And then maybe in that last heel to hip, maybe that right hand reaches back. Maybe we just reach. Or if we connect, maybe we press hand to foot, foot to hand for tiger pose. Breathing here. Releasing the foot when you're ready. Hand finds the mat. Use the exhale to pull knee to nose, foot between palms. Inhale, sweep and lift, kneeling lunge. Exhale, hands find the heart. Take a moment to arrive here in the shape and see, does it feel steady? What if you anchored through the foot? What if you squeezed back knee toward front heel, engaging a little more? Maybe we float fingertips up and exhale, hands to the low back. Maybe we stay here. We're using the hands to help keep the low back long. We might start to lift the collarbones. Maybe looking up, or maybe just keeping chin to chest. Thinking of head reaching away from the hips. Using an inhale to come back to center if you did tip back. Fingertips sweep tall. Exhale, hinge from the hips, fold and frame the foot. Next, exhale, takes hips back. Heel the toes up for half of monkey, lengthening the back of the leg. Foot anchors down. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, fold and frame, half of monkey. Inhale, kneeling lunge. Exhale, half of monkey. One more each way. Inhale to lift. Exhale to fold. And then anchor the left foot, framing it with the hands. Slide to all fours or step back for high plank. One breath here. Next, exhale to downward facing dog. Pedal in. Yogi's choice. Stay here to breathe and hold. Bring knees to mat to soften and rest. Or time it up for 3 vinyasa flows if it feels best to move this morning. And whichever you choose, notice your breath. And notice what you're noticing. You know, sometimes our minds are really busy and they narrate the whole class. Like, ooh, I like this. Oh, I should stretch my shoulders more often. And other times our minds are noisy, thinking about other things we have going on. And it's, you know, it's a practice to invite our attention back to this present moment. And one way we do that is by noticing the breath. Or you might also just notice what part of your body is connected to your mat at this moment. And when you're ready, again, no rush, no hurry. We'll make our way back to meet in child pose. Breathing into the low back. And taking any shift or walk of the fingertips, any movement here that feels good. And then we have an important decision to make. Next will be bringing a little bit of attention toward some muscles that help with the rotation in the hip, the piriformis being one of those. And the choice we need to make is to practice here with lots of kindness and compassion and be gentle, or to explore if there's a way to find a little length here and to challenge the core at the same time. So we'll start with the gentle version, and you can stay there if it feels best, or we can add a little more oomph if you like. The gentle version will make our way down toward the back. And we'll start by taking a knee and then bringing the ankle to the top of the opposite thigh. This is reclined pigeon pose. And our goal is to keep a little flex in the foot and invite the knee to move away from the torso. Maybe lifting the other foot and then thinking of anchoring that knee away. And that can be a very, very big stretch. You might just stay here and rock. And this is our gentle version of the shape 4. If you'd like to add a little bit of oomph, we'll make our way towards seated, maybe tucking and rolling. And then we'll take the fingertips back, take that ankle to the thigh. You might stay here and see if you can engage Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor and the core for support. You might explore if you could keep your back long but float the hands. And then you might even try to float the foot. This is pigeon in a boat. And if it's not working, you can just practice a regular boat if you like. And then we'll meet in pigeon. For pigeon in a boat, it can be a fun way to explore strength and length at the same time. Now, no rush, no hurry. When you're ready, let's all meet back down on the back, same side, staying in that pigeon. If you were in pigeon in a boat, take a moment here to find a little length. Noticing if it feels different without that added strength component. And then before we switch sides, you choose either knees to chest or feet to mat to take a pause and breathe. Noticing what's different from one side to the other. And when you're ready, let's try side 2, taking ankle to thigh. Maybe this side you just stay put, and a little flex in the foot, sending the knee away from the torso. Maybe draw the knee up and find a little rock. And we might stay right here, just softening into the shape, bringing length to the back of the hip. And then we might also find our challenge here, maybe by rolling our way up. And we might start with the hands behind us, just finding this shape, seated upright, breathing here. Maybe we float the hands. Maybe we float the foot. And we still want to try to send that knee away from the torso. It's like a long leg, that knee is trying to draw close while the other knee reaches away. Can you breathe? Knowing that those wobbles help activate the core muscles even more. And bringing it down to rest at any point. And then when you're ready, let's meet on the back in that pigeon. And taking a moment to explore the shape with no added challenge. And just breathing into the back. Encouraging length through the hip. And when you're ready, we'll take knees to the ribs or feet to the mat. And taking a pause. And then yogi's choice. No rush. Excuse me. No rush, no hurry here. If it's comfortable, we'll start to make our way toward bridge, taking heels in toward the hips. Elbows by the ribs. Using an inhale to float the hips and to walk the shoulders in toward each other. Keeping the knees in line with the hips, not letting them tip out or in. Breathing when you're here. And when you exhale, float hips to mat. And you might give the knees a little rock. And then if it's comfortable, we'll move toward bridge once more. Using an inhale to float the hips. Taking the shoulders toward each other. And the hands can help support the hips, or maybe they clasp behind. Maybe you explore floating the knee or the foot. Maybe you try that on side too. And taking a breath. And when you're ready, settle hips toward the mat. And your choice, maybe rocking the knees here, maybe tucking them in for a little rock and roll. We might reach the hands up. We might send the feet long. And if it's comfortable, slide the hands and the feet over to the right, making a banana shape on the mat. And breathing into the side body. And sometimes called banana asana. You can add a little more by crossing that left leg over the right. And you can stay put here longer if it feels good. Or when you're ready, gently release. Taking a little pause and center. And then send the feet over to the left, hands to the left. Trying to keep the hips and shoulders grounded toward the mat. Breathing here. Maybe crossing that right leg over the left. Noticing if this feels different from one side to the other. And then when you're ready, no rush, no hurry. Finding your way back towards center and see if it feels best to stay long. Or if it would feel good now to bend the knees, bringing the feet to the mat. And letting the arms cross over the ribs. And this is constructive resting pose. And this can be a great shape to be in. When we're down on the back, and the knees bent like this, the psoas muscle can slacken. And that's one that does a lot of work for us when we're seated. And if it feels good, you can just stay here to breathe and rest. If it doesn't feel good, see what would help it feel better, if that's reaching the hands out, or trying something different with the legs. Maybe you have the feet together and the knees apart. And take your time to find a comfortable shape here for a restorative pose. A shape that you feel 98% comfortable in, where you can tune into the breath. You might use your exhales to invite your body to soften down toward the mat. You might notice if your inhales move toward the belly. And if this shape feels great, you can stay put here for Shavasana, just resting like this. Or for a classic final relaxation, you can send the legs long, turn the palms up, maybe slide the shoulder blades in toward each other. And taking these last few minutes of practice as an opportunity to just be without having to do anything. And giving your mind, body, and spirit a chance to realign. And when you are ready to bring motion back, start small with fingers and toes. Finding what's ready to stretch and reach out. Or to bend and draw in close. And finding if there's any motion that would feel good, a little rock, a little reach. And then when you're ready, no rush or hurry, we'll start to make our way over to rest on one side or the other. And pausing there for a breath or two. And when you're ready, when you find an inhale, we'll start to make our way back upright toward a comfortable seated place. And taking a moment to shift a little side to side. See if the shoulders could use a shrug, or if the neck could use a little motion. And then when you're ready, we'll find center, lifting up tall through the crown of the head, maybe thinking of those natural curves in the back. Use an inhale to send the fingertips up tall, and an exhale to send hands to the heart. And thank you for taking the time to practice. And namaste.